guess we can start from the beginning. My ski career started when I was like, or not my ski career, but skiing for me started when I was about 1 year, like 2 years old. And I kind of just started skiing with my dad in the driveway. And then, I moved into the mountain with my family, and we always had a place in Whistler. So we'd kind of come up here every weekend and started gradually progressing, making my way onto the resort. And then they put me into the ski school program, and that's kind of where it all started for me. I had a good crew of buddies that I went up through the ski school levels and then into a program called Ultimate Eights here in Whistler. And then from there, that's where I met my really good crew of ski buddies, and that's who we kind of progressed and taught each other how to ski pretty much. And from there, we moved into the freestyle club for a year, and then we did, which is like slope style, and that's where we learned most of our tricks and stuff. And then from there, we moved to a program called MAP, which is a bit of everything: ski racing, slope style, moguls, and a bit of freeride as well. And then from there, my buddy YETI, who's also on tour, he decided to go to Freeride, and we all kind of just followed along. And then that was when we were about 12 years old, and we've been doing it ever since. And we first started competing, did my first freeride comp when I was 12, and didn't go that great, but I just stuck with it, and I loved the atmosphere of the whole freeride competitions and the whole scene, so stuck with it, and now we're here. Well, I don't know if I can't even remember, but it was YETI was the only one to, like, there's a qualifying for the freeride club, and YETI was the only one to do it. And my buddy Tristan and I just said, we're the same level as him, and they just let us in because we didn't so we didn't have to qualify, and we just followed YETI. I was 8 years old when I met YETI, or about 7 maybe. And we met in the program called Ultimate 8. So we go through like the 6 ski school levels, and then once you're finished that, if you're still too young to go into any other program, you go to this program called Ultimate 8s, and it's kind of like a bit of ski racing, bit of slope style, bit of moguls, bit of freeride. It's a bit of everything, and that's kind of where we got a base to kind of explore everything, and that's where we start to choose a path, and we all got along really well. And there's also a couple other buddies in our crew, and we all just started progressing together and pushing up each other, and that kind of created a really strong friendship between us and the others as well. And I think that's why we still have the same passion for it now, is just because of how much fun we've continued to have over the past couple of years, or past like 10 years. There's always challenges for sure. I mean, there's definitely challenges. I mean, when I was younger, I would crash a lot. Like, it wasn't until like 3 or 4 years ago where I kind of started to figure it out a little bit more. So those first like 4 or 5 years of freeride for me were just crashing, learning how to deal with the losses, and using those losses to continue on forward and learn from them. And I used to just like send it all the time and not really care at all. And maybe that's why my knees are a little sore these days, because I did a lot of flat landings. And but I'm starting to learn and try to look for the trannies a bit more, and that also helps with landing competition runs as well. So I just kind of keep learning from every competition, no matter if I'm winning or losing. There's always something to learn. So just kind of always reflecting on what I'm doing. It's honestly probably YETI. I would say YETI is probably the most influential person in my career, just because he's been pretty into like watching like lots of ski movies and stuff and all that. And I would like watch ski movies and all that stuff, but I was never really looking at them for inspiration. I was kind of just sticking in my crew and looking around at my crew and kind of figuring out what they were doing. And we always had like a super competitive mindset together when we're skiing. So whenever one of the boys would send a big clip or do a trick off of it, we'd be like, damn, now I got to do something better than that. So we'd always be pushing each other to the next level. And I can thank my friends and Wei Qian for kind of bringing me to this next level and pushing me throughout my whole beginning stage. Yeah, I mean, they was like a couple of the buddies, like 4 or 5 or 6 of us in the main group. And we all, like one of them, Kane Gascoigne, was at Junior World Championships last year. We're all still competing. Some of them are still doing adult competitions, still trying to make it onto the tour. So, I mean, that's been a goal for like all of us, is to definitely like try to be on tour together. At one point, it was a goal, at least for all of us. And so I think like there's definitely like 3 or 4 of us still in the crew, still going, trying to make their way on tour. And yeah, I mean, others are kind of just chilling, just skiing for the fun of it, but everybody's still super good and can kind of keep up with us and be at our level no matter what we're doing. So it's pretty cool to see that even that we're at the next level, they could also be here with us if they really wanted to. So that's kind of, yeah. We call our crew the Goon Squad. You can follow us on Instagram. I don't even know why. I think my buddy Tristan like inherited it from some other OG crew or something, and we took over. And yeah, I don't know. It's just like some weird name that we came up with, just because we're a whole bunch of goons, I guess. For me, preparing for the freeride season looks like going to the gym like 4 or 5 times a week, and I take pre-season training super seriously. So I'm kind of, yeah, I spend about 2 hours a day in the gym for 4 or 5 times per week. And yeah, it's just super important for me to just kind of build muscle to add like a layer of protection to my body. I'm not really necessarily training to look big or whatever. I'm just training to add protection and have that extra layer of comfort when I'm out there pushing my body to the limits. So that's the most important for me, is injury prevention. And then I'll do like a bit of trampoline training and stuff. But there's not a whole, there is one facility in Squamish here, and then I did 1 day of like water ramps. But I don't really have too much stuff like the Europeans do, where they can go hit the kind of landing bags all the time. So I'm just doing a lot of like, I try to do like once a week or something, like a little visualization session, just to kind of going over tricks in my mind and practicing visualizing runs, because that is like the biggest thing in our competitions, is just knowing how to visualize your runs and piece together runs just from your binoculars and from drone footage and stuff. So that's also a huge part of our sport. So I kind of try to practice that just as much as I practice my skiing. So that's also something else I do during preseason training. Yeah. So my first visual inspection for me was going to Junior World Championships. That was 2 years ago when I was 18. That was the year that I first made it on tour. And I definitely felt a little unprepared compared to the Europeans who have been doing it all their life. But I was actually super excited, obviously nervous, but super excited, just because in Canada and North America, we never get to ski a venue that's full of fresh powder, because everybody skis it down before on the on-face inspection. So I was just super excited to have a blanket of fresh pow on our competition runs. So that kind of gave me a little bit of extra comfort. But yeah, I mean, we have done like a bit of filming in the past. So we do like, I mean, like when we're like in North America, when we're going up the chairlift, we're kind of looking at lines like from the chairlift and just going and skiing them ourselves. So there's almost like a form of visual inspection there in itself. So that's kind of something that's almost been preparing us for that. And then with the Whistler Freeride Club, we did do like the whole year, like a bit of training, like once a weekend, just visual inspection practice, like little mock comps kind of preparing us for the actual junior worlds. So once we came there, we're definitely a bit more prepared, and I kind of got used to that form of competition, and I was able to piece together the drone shots and the binoculars and just photos from my phone, and it kind of worked out. I mean, I wasn't necessarily right on my line, but I may have gotten a little lucky, but the main majority of my line worked out just as I planned. So it's kind of cool to see all the work work out for me. And yeah, that got me onto the next step, onto the tour with the big guys. So yeah, it was like, yeah, I did the junior world champs, and then that was my first proper face inspection, visual inspection for competition. And then from there, went to Bakira to Forerun. That was the second time I've visually inspected. So I was probably more nervous for Bakira than anything, just because I had my idols around and I wanted to show them what I can do, but I also didn't want to ruin the competition for everybody else by tomahawking down the whole venue. So I kind of tried to keep it somewhat tame, but also show that I'm able to do it. So I did that, and then, yeah, you guys said I fit in with the crew, and Amar left and retired. And shout out Amar. and yeah, and then next thing you know, I'm in Andorra with the whole crew competing. So it's pretty surreal to go from junior to Freeride World Tour in the span of like less than a week, pretty much. So yeah, and that was like my third time visual inspecting in Andorra, and I maybe didn't visually inspect very good because I did my like second air and clipped a rock midair and then face planted. Skied the rest of my run with like no goggles on. But yeah, it was quite an experience, and I'm super thankful for how it all went. I don't think I'm ever gonna have it mastered. I think it's hard to have visual inspection mastered because, I mean, there's so many variables in our sport, and especially in the competition. Like, you never know if there's gonna be a rock underneath the snow or just different snow conditions throughout the face. So it's hard to master it. But I mean, there are steps that you can take to do it, and I think having the right like drone footage for us is like huge. Like, if we don't have drone footage, it'd be a totally different competition, just because with drone footage we can see the tops of takeoffs and kind of actually have a picture in our mind of what the top of a drop is going to look like when we're skiing into it. So if we didn't have that, the sendiness of our sport would probably be different. But since we have that, everybody's kind of able to actually piece a whole run together in their mind. They can look at the drone footage, put that into their visual inspection line in their head, and kind of actually form a line. So it's really about mastering your mind and learning how to keep yourself like if you crash in your visual inspection in your head, you go back up and do it over and over again until you feel like you have it dialed. And that's almost like a form of doing it multiple times. Like in real life, if you're really good, you can feel like you've actually done it, and it gives you like a little bit of extra confidence. So that's kind of, yeah, that's why I work on it preseason and just keep working on the visual inspection and mastering the mind, and it'll be good. But I mean, there's always stuff that throws you off. Like, if you don't have a landmark in the right spot during your run, you can kind of get lost super quick, and that's why you need to have your landmarks pointed out the whole time during your run, and make sure you're confident in where you are on the face, because if you're not, next thing you know, you're over a huge cliff and in a spot where it could get dangerous really quick. So it's super important to have your landmarks pointed out and, yeah, know where you are at all times on the face. I mean, we also, like, just because we didn't have visual inspection in North America, we still did like visual inspection in our head. Like, we would just it'd be more clear in our mind because we were actually on face. But when we were doing visual inspection and as a junior, we'd do the in-face inspection. Like, I would maybe go halfway down the face. I'd pick my line, go halfway down the face. Halfway down the face, I'd visualize that first half. of my run, and then I'd continue figuring out the rest of my run. And then from there at the bottom, I'd visualize the bottom half. And then once I get out of the corral and stuff, I'd visualize my whole run, and I'd get a clear image in my head. And then I would do that like 2 times there at the bottom, visualize my run. And then, yeah, I would do it like 5 times before bed and a couple times in the morning, just so I lock it in. And then like once before my competition run. And that kind of gave me the confidence to know where I'm going and yeah, ski my line with aggression. So that kind of, and yeah, I can thank Whistler Freeride Club for that. All my coaches in there, because they were the ones who kind of put that idea in my head and enforced everybody to do a visual inspection. And I think it's a huge part, and without it, you won't be skiing the face the same as if you just went down skiing it blindly without having done any visual inspection. So it's a huge part, and Whistler Freeride Club makes sure all their kids are doing that at the bottom of their runs, and I think it's super cool that they're doing that. Off season, well, I mean, off season I'm doing a whole bunch of biking. Like this is my first year not like racing World Cups in a while, so the past like the 3 previous summers I was going out to Europe again, racing World Cups, downhill biking and stuff. I went 2 years in juniors, and then I did 1 year in elite, and that 1 year of elite kind of humbled me pretty good, and realized maybe I'll just stick to one sport and don't quite have the speed to continue my career in downhill mountain biking. So I just did 1 Crankworks race here locally and started to make biking more of a hobby and enjoy it like more with friends and just cruising around and maybe doing little film parts and stuff. But I don't really want to continue like racing downhill bikes if it's not working out too well. So I kind of just want to keep it more of a fun thing. And so that'll be something that I do. I got a little e-bike. I know there's a lot of e-bike haters out there, but I love going out e-bike riding with all my friends, and we get so many laps in, and it's just such a great like activity to do. And then yeah, I'll hit the gym and do a little visual inspection stuff. And I also work. I have a summer job, part-time job. I'm a paintball ref, so I'll go out in Whistler. There's a little paintball site that a whole bunch of people come up for like staff parties, birthday parties, and bachelor parties and stuff. So it's kind of a fun side gig to do throughout the summer and keeps me busy. And yeah, a little traveling here and there, but nothing too crazy. I kind of try to keep my off season as an off season so I can actually properly reset and then be all in for when it's time to go for in the winter. I always was more into skiing, but I always liked just competing all year round. So I think there was a point probably maybe when I was like 16 or 17 where I was like, okay, I want to go focus more on skiing. But I always liked the idea of staying competitive all year round. So I just kept doing it. And now I still want to be competitive all year round, but I just don't think it's super worth it to go all the way up to Europe to race bikes. But I'll still stick around here and do like local races for fun, just to keep that competitive edge on, because I think that's super important part of the game, is having that competitive edge all throughout the year, every year. I think that's also something that gives me a boost in the start gate. Just being so familiar with being in the start gate for all these years is something that really helped me. So I think, yeah, I just need to keep doing that, and it gives me the confidence once I'm in the start gate at the big events on tour, and I can, I can just be calm and know what I'm doing and just smile in the start gate. And yeah, I've been doing this all my life, so I can just keep doing it and not have any worries in the back of my mind. For competition, there's always a bit more confidence, I guess you could say, just because you have guides on the competition face, guides at the top, controllers everywhere. So it gives you a little bit of extra confidence just in case something were to go wrong. you have that support there. So that is kind of something in the back of your mind when you're competing. But when you're not competing, when you're in the backcountry filming or something, you don't have that support necessarily. I mean, you have your crew, maybe one gets extra safety guide with you, but it's not anything nearly as safe as being on tour, and you gotta make the risk assessments yourself out there. So I mean, it's super important to have the right crew with you when you're out in the backcountry, and that's something that I'm always looking at before I go out on a big day of filming. I make sure I have the right people with me, make sure everybody's certified properly with avalanche stuff. And yeah, I mean, at the beginning of the season, we'll do like I've tried for the last 2 seasons or 3 seasons to do like avalanche scenarios and just get everybody or anybody part of my crew or that I might go out with to be a part of like little avalanche scenario training, just so everybody's up to pace, just in case something does go wrong. Everybody knows what to do, everybody's in the right positioning, and we can just go quickly and efficiently. And yeah, obviously prevention of anything like that is our main focus, but just having that that knowledge that your crew is prepared and ready to go for you if anything were to happen is pretty key as well. So yeah, just making sure you have the right crew and everybody's has their head on their shoulders and kind of has an idea of what they actually want to achieve in the backcountry is super important as well. I mean, they would have, with the Freeride Club, they would always kind of give us little pointers and kind of point out possible risks when we're on the mountain, but there's never really, or like they would also give us lots of like tree well knowledge. Like in Whistler, there's a super high risk of tree well deaths and stuff, just because there's such a deep snowpack in Whistler, and it can be super heavy snow, and that kind of creates lots of tree wells. So if you go like skiing alone in the trees, that's super frowned upon here in Whistler. So you need to always have a buddy, and yeah, make sure you know the right ways, procedures to get somebody out of a tree well. So that's something that the Whistler Freeride Club has kind of always engraved in our brains, and every year we kind of do a safety course with the patrollers here in Whistler at the start of the season, just to kind of refamiliarize everybody with what the tree well protocol is. And that's something that's super important in any resort, but it's definitely pretty high risk here in Whistler. So we're always skiing with buddies in the trees and hooting and hollering and make sure everybody's still making noise. And for the backcountry side, like avalanche risk and stuff, that wasn't anything that we were really focused upon, just because patrollers had done it for us all our lives. So it's only in the like past 4 or 5 years where I kind of started doing like my AST1, like my avalanche courses and stuff, and then kind of did a couple different lessons, like avalanche scenarios with different groups, and just kind of learning the ropes and kind of figuring out weather patterns and learning how it all works. But I'm still super inexperienced with it. Not super inexperienced, but not nearly as much knowledge as I would like. So I just want to keep learning as much as I can about it, just so that if I were to go out with a crew, I can know that I can give them all the support as they can give me. So that's super important to me. I don't know. I guess you could say that I was actually a pretty avid schooler. I like schooling a lot, and so I really liked math a lot, and I wanted to go to school for engineering. And then so I applied to UBC for engineering, and then I got in, and then I deferred once I got the news that I'd go on to junior world championships and stuff, and then I'm still on tour, so I kind of just kept deferring it, and yeah, I guess the story is I actually liked school, and I wanted to keep pursuing school, but I actually like learning a lot no matter what it is. So learning is super important to me. So I'm always trying to read books or watch cool YouTube videos on new subjects that I want to learn, and I like business side a lot. So I'm always just trying to keep a path open for whenever my ski career is done. So that's super important for me. I don't know if engineering is quite what I want to do. I can't really see myself studying that hard anymore, but there's definitely a opportunity somewhere that I'm trying to keep a door open for. I mean, my mindset going into a competition is I try to treat it like any other day skiing with my friends, and the most important part for me is making sure it's fun for me. So I'm always trying to have a smile on my face and chatting with buddies. I mean, sometimes it's hard because everybody else is different. Sometimes some other athletes may go into their own shell and kind of start thinking about their own things, but I really like to be chatty and kind of talk with others and make it just like a super fun experience, because that's what I'm doing it for, is the fun experience. And if it's not fun for me, I don't really want to do it anymore. So that's the biggest part, is just having fun. And I'd say that's my biggest ritual. I mean, I'll have my I'll do a couple visual inspections at the top, and then just trying to stay calm and not get nervous is a huge part for me. Like in Verbier, I took a nap at the top, just chilled when we're waiting in that weather hold. I think I was more nervous for the hike up in Verbier than anything. So once I got to the top, I was like, okay, we're here. We've made it to the top. And I took a little nap, and then I was just chatting with homies while we're waiting, and just staying calm and not putting too much pressure on myself is, I think, why I perform so well. And it's a huge part for me. So yeah, just having fun and enjoying this experience like any other day skiing with friends is my ritual, I guess you could say. I think it goes back to, I started competing year round since I was like pretty much 8 years old, doing little slope style competitions, bike races in the summer. And I've literally been competing all year round since I was about 8 years old until now. So I think I've just gotten comfortable with the feeling of being nervous, I guess you could say. So I don't really necessarily feel super nervous. But obviously if it's like a super crazy line or something like the Beck, where it's like a steepest face I've probably ever skied, I'll get nervous for the actual skiing part, but not necessarily for the competition as much, because no matter what's going on, if it's like results based or whatever, I try not to focus on that and just focus on the skiing part, and that kind of calms my mind. And I always go back to it's just fun day of skiing with the friends, and that's kind of where my headspace is at most of the time, and I just try to keep it there. And I've been able to do that just from all the experience that I've had competing, I think. I mean, before any competition, before we even get there, we usually have like a photo of the whole face. And I'll always like be in the car kind of picking out lines for fun. And honestly, for Georgia, for my winning run in Georgia and my winning run in Verbier, those lines were kind of stood out to me right from the beginning. Like right as I looked at the photo, I was like, oh, like kind of something like, oh, this would be super cool to do, and tricks I had in mind and stuff. And I didn't necessarily know if that was actually going to be the line, but for those 2 runs in Georgia and Verbier, I did kind of just take a glance at the photos and decided that's what I wanted to do. Obviously, I explored other options, but I kind of stuck with my original ideas, and it kind of worked out. So I kind of go to what's calling me and what I feel like I'd have the most fun skiing, or be the most scared skiing. But I kind of just go from the photo, go what speaks to me, and kind of pick a line from there. I'm not trying to please anybody else other than myself for skiing. So I don't want to be changing my lines just because a judge would like this line more than another. So I just try to ski what I want to ski, and I know I'll ski it the best that way. I mean, you're always kind of second guessing yourself in the back of your mind. But like in Verbier, I was talking with my coach Derek, who's also an announcer on tour, and we were kind of exploring all the options we had. Like, I was in the car driving with him when we first got the photo, and right away I drew out that line on the photo and kind of showed him, and he's like, "Whoa, I don't know, but it looks sick." And so we kind of, once we got there to face inspection, we looked at it, and at first we weren't too sure if it would work. So we explored some other options. We kind of got a little closer to the face and looked at it all. And then Derek kind of gave me a little reassurance, saying that the landings actually work. Like, they're aligned, the double stage at the bottom. And he's like, "Yeah, I think it could work." And so that kind of gave me that boost of confidence that I needed to kind of lock in on that line and focus on that, just so that, by the time I got up to the top for the start gate, I was locked in and I wasn't second guessing it at all. But when I actually did it and I was on top, I was like, "Oh my God, what have I gotten myself into?" That was probably the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. I think I might have yelled in the air a little bit out of fear. And yeah, I landed and I was pretty surprised, honestly. I went a little it was like the pad on that one was super short, so yeah, I just barely bounced off of it and made it to the second one, and I was surprised to still land centered off that one. And the visibility wasn't the greatest, so it's kind of blind on the way out, skiing out after. But yeah, it all worked out, and I was super pumped. I think it wasn't like in Georgia when I was like celebrating, super pumped. I think I was just honestly shocked that it all worked out. And I was still a little nervous from that one. I think I said when I got to the bottom, I was like, "Wow, that was sketchy," or something. But yeah, I mean, it's all about the behind the scenes and actually making sure the landings line up and that they're steep enough to work out well. And that's something I can thank Derek for, is always kind of having my back. And ever since I was younger, to kind of look at these lines and figuring out what the best route down is and if my crazy ideas will actually work. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an advantage to have a coach out there with me. I mean, obviously, Derek is a busy guy out there as well, so there's not necessarily, he can't always come and help me, but I mean, he helps me enough to where I can get some confidence on my lines. And usually I'm out on my own figuring out the lines and like kind of figuring out the main idea, and then I'll bring it to Derek and ask him some questions about it and see what he thinks. So just kind of having like him there to give me a bit of reassurance is always super important and a huge factor. And I mean, he's not always just he's not coaching me, he's coaching like a lot of the athletes. Like, he's always giving pointers, and a lot of the athletes will ask Derek questions just because they know he has so much experience in the field. And so I think he can be an asset to anybody. Anybody on tour can go ask Derek a question, and he's not just for me or any of the Whistler Freeride clubs. He'll help anybody. So I think it's a super cool part of it. And yeah, he's not biased at all. And yeah, I liked it a lot. And I mean, it was going on tour is my first time actually not having designated coach to myself during a competition. So that was a bit of a new thing for me, but it kind of felt the same with having Derek around. He was there supporting me a lot for the first competition. So that was a big factor. And I'm kind of starting to figure it out a bit more on my own, but I think I'll always kind of reach out to Derek or any of my coaches who are around to kind of get that extra reassurance on my line planning and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I kind of have my routines, like, I don't know, morning little stretch routine and maybe a little meditation here and there. Every once in a while, I'll try to meditate in the morning, get my mind clear and dialed, and then yeah, just hanging out with friends and having fun is super important. You can't always be focused and stuff. You got to always enjoy the whole process. So that's super important for me. And yeah, that kind of lets me unwind. And like lately, I've been playing a lot of squash with my friends. we get super competitive playing squash. Even though it's like a super fun game, we get super competitive and into it. So that's it's the little things like that that keep the off season super fun. And throughout the winter, we'll still play a little bit of squash, or I don't know, we'll just hang out, maybe go to the bar every once in a while. And yeah, but I don't know. I think I unwind by going skiing mostly. So yeah, I just love skiing so much. So I think I'll always enjoy just going out for a chill cruise with my friends, and nothing like a POW day of not even going to send it at all, just going to ski around and enjoy some POW turns. And there's always a lot of fun in something like that. So it's not every day that I go and try to huck my meat. I mean, there's a lot of days, but there's also the days where I'm just kind of cruising around and I don't have any expectations for myself. So those are the days where I'm able to just unwind and enjoy skiing for skiing. I mean, all of my ski gear, obviously, but and there's no like specific thing that I bring. Like, I don't have any superstitions where I need this like medallion or whatever in my pocket when I'm skiing. So I kind of try to keep it as simple as possible and as little steps throughout my day on a competition to make sure that everything goes smoothly, because the more steps you add to your routine, the harder it is to make that routine successful. So I try to make sure that I don't have too many things on my mind or too many things that I need to bring. So just the essentials, like all my ski gear, safety equipment, and then enough clothes, enough underwear to last me the trip that we're at. Usually it's never enough. You never know how long you're going to be out in Europe for. So there's always more clothes you can bring. But yeah, just clothes and my ski gear and nothing else really. I would hate to have like some sort of superstition where like I have to have this certain thing on me during my ski competition. Like if I don't have this, I can't perform. So I try to avoid that at all costs, because if I actually do forget it one day, then it would put my whole day off. So I keep it as simple as possible and focus on my training and what I've done rather than some little thing that I think would maybe boost my confidence out there. My goals for this season are to improve and keep moving off of what I was doing last year. So kind of continuing to try to progress the sport and do new lines and find new creative ways of hitting these features. And I just want to, progress my skiing and focus on my skiing and keep improving and not really focus on too much else. I mean, obviously, getting the title is the goal, but I know that if I keep improving my skiing, I'll be able to keep doing that. So, just focusing on myself and improving my skiing and not really worrying about too much else. So, I just want to keep learning new things and continue enjoying the process, because it's all about the fun and the process for me, and the other things will come from there. Yeah, we will see. Keep battling it out with Matt. I mean, the goal for me in like 5 years is to get hopefully Freerides in the Olympics, and I can be a part of that, because I'd love to experience being part of a new sport, joining the Olympics. I think it'd be super cool, and that's definitely my main goal and priority. I'm not sure if I'm necessarily going to compete every year until then, but I want to make sure I have my foot in the door and be able to join in for when that opportunity arrives. So definitely the long term for me skiing is kind of getting to the Olympics, and then from there I'm not too sure, but I think my main goal in the next 5 years is get to the Olympics and join that experience and see how it goes. But I really do hope it happens, because I think it'll mean a lot of big things for this sport, and even the years coming, there's a lot of things changing and a lot of cool things to be a part of. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities coming out of this. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a goal of me to go to the Olympics ever since I was younger. But once I got older, I didn't really think freeride would actually be one of the sports to go into the Olympics. So it's kind of crazy to think that my first year or second year getting on tour that there's already talk of the Olympics coming up soon. So I was super excited to hear that news, and yeah, I actually didn't really think it was going to be a thing for freeride. It doesn't really seem like one of the sports to kind of be a part of the Olympics, but if we can make it happen, I'm into it for sure. Yeah, I mean, there's always new tricks that I want to bring to competition. I still need to work on my tricks a lot to have the confidence to bring them to the competition. So, I mean, I brought my Cork 7, which was a goal of mine for a long time. I brought that to Georgia, and it wasn't even, it somehow worked out, but it's not the way I wanted to do it. So I need to keep working on it and make sure I have the confidence that I can land whatever new trick I bring in. So yeah, I need to keep practicing and see what tricks I can dial in and get super good every time, and then bring it to the tour from there. So yeah, I think hopefully I can bring some new tricks, but I'm not exactly sure which tricks those are going to be yet. I think probably Georgia. I mean, they're both different. I'm proud of them in different ways for sure. Like, I think Verbier was the most extreme I've ever skied probably, and the biggest features and the steepest face by far I've ever skied. So I'm super proud of that. And I didn't really think that was in my ability levels to, I wouldn't say I'm actually super proud of the way I skied Verbier, but the features were, the way I skied the features, I was pretty proud of, and I was able to make the new line come to life. So that's always what I'm looking for on a competition venue, is to open up new ways to ski things. So I'm super proud of that aspect of it. And then for Georgia, I've always wanted to do like a run full of tricks and stuff. And I was super pumped on the way it all turned out for Georgia. So yeah, I mean, I didn't really think, I was kind of surprised every time I landed something on Georgia. So that was pretty exciting for me, and a big relief once I got to the bottom, and a lot of a bit of a shock. But yeah, that was probably the best run of my life in Georgia. So I wouldn't say I mean, I could obviously improve some of the things in Georgia, but in that, I don't think I could have done it too much better. Where in Verbier, I probably could have skied in between features a lot better. In Georgia, I was kind of able to flow it nicely and keep the speed and aggression up. But yeah, so I guess you can say I'm most proud of my Georgia run, and I hope to do some more runs similar to that style this year and keep it up. Yeah, I mean, it's probably my Georgia run is the proudest moment for me. That was all the stars aligning and showing all my hard work pay off, is when I got down from that Georgia run. So I was pretty proud. Best piece of advice is probably just having fun. That's advice they give me, and every time when I'm in the start gate, my dad just says, make sure you smile, make sure you put a smile on your face. And I don't know, something that I kind of like to do every time I'm in the start gate. I just look around at the surroundings and look where I am, and I'm like, wow, I get to do this and look at the beautiful places I am, and it kind of just gives me some relief and calms my mind and allows me to just be super happy with what I'm doing. So just make sure you're enjoying the whole experience and having fun with it and having fun with your friends, and yeah, everything else will come from there. I mean, clearly Freeride is like my whole life pretty much. So Freeride is my form of meditation and my form of releasing stress. And I think without Freeride, without Freeride, or without skiing or the extreme sports I do, I wouldn't be the same person today. So I'm super thankful for how skiing has shaped my life and shaped who I am. So yeah, I can thank Freeride and all my friends in the sport for kind of this cool new lifestyle that not a whole lot of people get to experience. I mean, in our world, freeride seems like a huge thing, but in the whole world, like, freeride is such a small part of the world, and there's not a whole lot of people get to do it. So I'm super thankful to be able to experience that. Yeah, so my mom's side of the family grew up ski racing all their lives. My uncle is Thomas Grandy. He used to compete in or race in ski racing. He went to the Olympics and was like in the Hall of Fame for the best tech ski racer in Canada. And so I have ski racing in my blood. So I guess you could say I'm the traitor to the family moving to freeride. I always try to make sure that my technique is part of the game as well. And I always like to train drills and stuff and kind of get a little bit of a ski race approach and bring it to freeride. And so yeah, it's super important to me to kind of look up to them and how they kind of went throughout their career and bring it to freeride. I mean, obviously freeride is its own thing, but I like to also add a little bit of structure to it and kind of try to change the game a little bit in that way. And with the Whistler Freeride Club, we're always doing drills a lot in the beginning of the season, make sure everybody's technique is on point, just so when you're actually putting the lines into place and you're skiing them, you're not actually focusing on your technique. You're able to just focus on the next feature in front of you while skiing well. So that's a super important part for me, is being able to ski well in between the features as well as hitting the features. I mean, depends the conditions. Sometimes like a turn that somebody made in a certain area was actually way harder than the rest of their run, but not the general public. The general public maybe didn't even notice that. So there's all these little things that make these runs that people don't realize is actually super hard. So that's where your technique and your proper skiing, getting prepared to ski and ski it properly, is where that all comes into play. And yeah, I can thank all the drills that I've done since I was young to kind of allow me to be confident in skiing an exposed terrain and yeah, get from feature to feature without missing anything. I mean, nowadays, like, there's a fine balance of mixing features and skiing. Like, a lot of the time it'll kind of look like you're just skiing from feature to feature. So a goal for me is to try to pick a line that's super fall line that it can actually get proper turns in between, so I'm not just traversing from feature to feature and then back. And yeah, skiing fast and looking fluid is super important to me in skiing, and I think that is something that the judges like as well. They like something fast and they like something action packed, and if you're kind of traversing from feature to feature, it doesn't really give that look. So I always try to find something fall line and direct, and it's more fun for me to ski, and I think it's more fun for people to watch as well. I definitely took a bit of a fast track here, but I'm super thankful for how it all turned out, and I don't know, I think I belong, and I enjoy the people that I've met along the way. So yeah, I think it's all working out in a good way.